I'm going to speak about teaching. We've all been speaking about teaching tonight, so I feel as though this is a wonderful way to think about something that's so important in the lives of all of us. My husband and I went to South Africa in January. We spent the month visiting friends and visiting two remarkable schools, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, and that's in Johannesburg, just outside Johannesburg. And then we later went to the Marua School in Botswana. And right after we got back, I received an email from a student at Marua who said she was writing an article for the school paper, and it was about my visit. And would I please answer some questions? Dear Mrs. Countryman, she said, please tell us briefly who you are. Now, when I think about who I am, this 3-year-old comes to mind. That's Joan Anita Kennedy, or possibly this first grader at the Spring Dance Festival at the local public school. I'm on the left there, taller than my partner. Or possibly this 7-year-old who was already a voracious reader. In fact, we begin in history because she and her best friend in second grade made the mistake of reading ahead in the reader. And the teacher decided that the solution was to have them dust the closets while she worked with the other students. We begin in history because some time ago it was, in fact, illegal to teach slaves or free blacks to read or write. I called up my son, who's an historian, and I said, Matthew, do you think it's too much of a stretch to make a connection between those two things? And he said, Mom, whatever the teacher intended, your parents made that connection. In fact, within days, I was no longer at that school. I was on my way to Germantown Friends School, 3rd grade, to Farm and Wilderness camps, and eventually to Sarah Lawrence College. At Germantown Friends and Farm and Wilderness, I came to appreciate silence and reflection and looking for good in every person. I also came to appreciate travel and leadership. At Sarah Lawrence, I learned about the progressive education and John Dewey, and the idea that what education is reflection on experience. So the next question was, how do you account for your passion about education? The man sitting in the center is my father. My father was a teacher. My sister and I are teachers. Both of my children are teachers. Both of my in-laws' children are, my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law are teachers. And let me tell you a story. About 12 or 13 years ago, I was driving from Hartford to Providence with my then, actually it was more than that now, but because he's almost 17, but my 4-year-old grandson. He was actually sitting in his car seat, kicking the back of my seat. I was driving. And after he tired of all the songs he'd learned in preschool, I said, Mason, can't you sing anymore? And he said, no, but Grandmom, do you know how to count to 10 in Spanish? And I said, well, I know how to count to 10 in French. I'll teach you, he said. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez. Now you try with me. Uno, dos, tres. And we all both counted to 10. And then he said, okay, try it by yourself. And I said, okay, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, and I couldn't remember 5. He said quietly, 5, 6, 7, and counted with me to 10. And then he said, Grandma, that was very good, but you needed a little help. Let's practice some more.